Hi guys, welcome back to Race Ready Maintenance and Skills. In today's video, we're going to be learning how to bleed Shimano disc brakes. Here are all the tools we will need to bleed Shimano disc brakes. Here I have nitrile exam gloves, my professional disc brake bleed kit for Shimano, which I'll show you what's in later on. Here I have some sort of solvent brake cleaner. I'm using Simple Green that's a little bit watered down so it's not as aggressive. Some sort of shop towel / wipey. A 7mm hex wrench, a syringe with a lockout valve, Shimano hydraulic mineral oil, a brake block, which should come with your bike when you order it, a funnel with a plunger, a 2.5mm Allen key, and a small flathead screwdriver. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove my rear wheel. I have a 12x142 through axle, so I'm just going to need a 5mm Allen key. So to remove the rear wheel, I'm going to go ahead and release the clutch on the SRAM derailleur. For Shimano, you can turn the clutch off, basically the same as SRAM. And then go ahead and I'm going to pull the rear axle out, and the rear wheel should drop nice and cleanly out, like so. On the left side of the caliper here, we're going to go ahead and remove the brake pads and prepare the brake for bleed. Take that out, grab your brake pads on the top and bottom, slide them right out, and then grab them on the left and right sides and pull it straight out, like so. So now we're going to put our brake pads on a clean, non-oiled surface and get them as far away from the oils as possible, because this, in turn, will ruin your brakes. That is called disc brake pad poisoning, and that is very bad. So here I have a disc brake pad separator. I use this because it's nice and soft and it won't damage the caliper or the piston. So what I like to do is go ahead and push it in there and try to push the piston flush with the caliper so that we can prepare the brake for bleed. So our next step is to go ahead and clean the brake and install the bleed block. So I'm going to get some sort of wipey or cleaning solvent and run it through the brake caliper and try to clean around and remove any oils, dirt, or grime. So now we're going to go ahead and install our bleed block into the caliper. So you're going to want to push it in between the two until it sits nicely between. So we're going to go ahead and loosen the brake, shift it over, and twist it up till it's parallel with the ground. So we're going to remove this bleed port bolt on the top of the brake. There's a very small O-ring in there. I'll show it to you momentarily. Make sure that you do not lose it. And these threads are very delicate, so be careful not to cross-thread them. So here we have our small O-ring. It's kind of oily. We're going to go ahead and put that down away from the brake pads on a separate rack. Put our tool down. And we're going to install the reservoir. It has a plunger in it. We'll remove that. And these are plastic threads. Again, very delicate. Be careful not to cross-thread him. We're going to thread it in very nicely. Do not over-tighten it, just enough, and we should be all right. We're going to go ahead and fill our syringe about to 20 milliliters. Try to get a minimal amount of air bubbles. And then to push the air bubbles out, go ahead and tilt it up until the air bubbles are at the peak, and you'll see them flow through until, try to get them all gone until it's all fluid. We want as little air as possible. At the bottom of the caliper right now, there's a bleed nipple. It might have a rubber boot over it. Mine does not. I removed that the last time I bleed my brakes, just so that I can easier bleed them. I'm going to go ahead and put the syringe over the nipple. Get my 7mm hex. Place it over this. Twist it 1/8 of a turn to the left until it opens up slightly. The next step is to slide this little piece that comes on the brake hose until it goes over the nipple, holding the hose in place. So if you turn it 1/8 of the turn and it's not open, you might have to turn it a half turn just to get it completely open if you have a stopped valve. So I'm here with my syringe and I'm going to go ahead and push it through to the top of the brake. And if your fluid is black like mine, it probably means it was good time to bleed. So keep on pushing until you're at about 5 milliliters in the syringe, and then stop. And then we're going to go ahead and take our plunger, plug up the hole, take out the reservoir, and put this old fluid in the trash can. So I've gotten rid of my oil in the proper location, and if your oil looks like mine did, you're going to go ahead and want to re-plug this plunger, go back here, take your 7mm key, close off the port, take off your syringe, and refill it. So I'm going to go ahead and refill my syringe. A little pro tip is if you want it to get to 20 milliliters without any bubbles, fill it up past the amount you want, and then flip it up so the bubbles rise into the tube, and go ahead and push those bubbles out until it gets down to the desired amount. So once you've reinstalled your syringe and it's been filled, go ahead and unplug the port and push fluid back through. And if it's still black like the fluid inside the reservoir, repeat the process until the fluid is a pinkish red color. This is where the cup was and where the bleed port is on the brake. And what we're going to want to do is, if you do not see the red fluid right here, you're going to want to take your syringe and top it off just with a couple drops of oil. I now have my 2.5 mil Allen key and my bolt that goes in the bleed port with the small black O-ring. We're going to go ahead and put that in, making sure the O-ring doesn't get pinched and that it sits nicely in there. Go ahead and screw that down. Make sure not to screw it down too tight, just to where it sits in there. So now we're going to go ahead and feel how our brake feels with the bleed block still in the caliper. Should feel nice and solid, air bubble free, with great braking performance. Throughout this process, your bike will get a little bit oily, so we're going to go ahead and wipe that down. We're going to clean off our brake pads, remove the bleed block, and reinstall our brake pads. So we're going to go ahead and remove our bleed block. Just give it a push out the back. Remember not to squeeze your brake while the bleed block is not in there. We're going to go ahead and reinstall our brake pads. I will link in the description down below how to service brake pads. And so to reinstall these, we're going to take our pin, push it through, get our small flathead, go ahead and thread this in. So here I have my tub of towels. They're my favorite wipe. I love them for cleaning my bike, doing anything on the bike, and just for great use around the house. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of these and clean my disc brake rotors. Using one of these grape wipes, I'm going to go ahead and take it, fold it like a taco over the disc brake, run it all the way around, and if your rotors are like mine, it will end up looking something like this. So now we're going to go ahead and reinstall our rear wheel and test out how our newly bred brake feels. Go ahead and thread that in and test out your brake. So once that's threaded, go ahead and give the wheel a quick spin and grab our brake. You might take a couple pumps to get it to activate, as it's just been freshly bled and this oil is still new, still trying to run through the cables. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up, make sure you get all the old oil out, and then it's nice and clean for the next time you need to bleed your brakes. And what I'm going to do next is take the oil that's not used, it's still nice and pinky red, put it in, make sure to push it out nice and slow, and if you see any sort of residue in there, immediately stop and do not put that oil back in. Thanks for joining me this time on Race Ready Maintenance and Skills. I hope you learned more about your bike and enjoyed yourself while doing it. And please catch me on my website, which I'll link in the description down below, which has my included social media accounts, and I'll catch you next time.